What is going on, YouTube? We're back with another freaking banger, bro. You already know we had to switch up the scenery. Now, it's nothing crazy, bro. The other side has such a beautiful overlook of the waterfront with some Christmas lights. Unfortunately, every section in this area, there's nothing metal that I can prop my phone on. I have a metal magnet that allows me to just essentially prop my phone. I don't have a tripod with me at the moment, so this is what we got for the view, but we had to switch it up. And in this video, I want to talk about why you need to take that freaking risk, brother. Now, I had a series of videos I made last winter when I first started these entrepreneurial endeavors, and I'm bringing them back because, bro, it's 2026 in like a week. And so many times in life, we say, like, yeah, these are my New Year's resolutions, but we never take action on them, right? And last year, I finally took that risk that I have been wanting to my entire life. I started my own business. I started working for myself, and the level of freedom, bro, that it gives you is something that is so freeing. Aside from the monetary benefits and the amazing results that my clients are getting, just the simple fact of knowing that I don't have to wake up at any given time and listen to a boss or show up at a certain time. I can quite literally do what it is I want. And this is the most freeing feeling ever, bro. Like, yo, literally, you need to just take that risk. If you're somebody that watches this channel, you probably are either A, into fitness, you're probably somebody that's already a business owner, or you're just generally into fitness. I help 35 to 50-year-old business owners with their fitness, helping them accelerate fat loss, dial in their hormones so they can put on lean muscle. And if you're not that type of person, somebody that's in that fitness avenue, then maybe you're here for some of the business and entrepreneurial minded stuff. And I'm so glad you're here. We have almost 400 subscribers, bro. We're going to the moon, put it like that, right? So how do you take that risk, and when do you know when it's the right time? And what what do you do if you don't know what you want to do with a business, right? This video is going to answer those questions for you. It's not going to be super lengthy. I'll keep it under 25 minutes. I know you guys like to watch this stuff, hopefully. Sometimes I just talk, but I really want to make this practical, you guys. Like, starting this business changed my life, and I'm nowhere near my potential. I'm nowhere near what it is I want to be. But when you can finally let go of the burden of knowing deep down that you're meant for more, knowing deep down that you want to do something big with your life and you don't want to work for somebody else, and you want to make your own money, you want to have financial freedom, the ability to work from where it is you want, it's something that you need to experience. And if you don't relate, then you'll still get value from this video, because I'm going to be talking about mindset things, right? Which also correlate to, if let's say you work a 9-to-5 job, maybe a lot of my clients work in corporate America, right? Maybe, they don't want to start their own thing, but they want to get some sort of level of freedom so they can buy back their time, and so that they can ultimately become the best version of themselves. Now, the reason entrepreneurship is so fulfilling to me is it's the expansion of personal growth that gives me that feeling of like, bro, I can just do what it is I want, and like, life is so great. And I can only thank God, because he gave me, since I was a young kid, the discipline to do hard things, and also the mindset of, I don't want to be like these regular people. With no disrespect to them, I hated every job I've ever worked. If I didn't leave the job, like, I've quit a bunch of jobs, I've got fired by every other one, right? And I started over time to take that as a sign, like, maybe there's nothing wrong with me. Maybe, like, because it wasn't like I was getting let go from these jobs for not performing. I was the number one in the sales leaderboard for one company, right? Another company I worked, I was actually managing and hiring personal trainers, and I was teaching them sales. And the job that I got to number one in the sales leaderboard, not only was I number one in sales, but I was providing so much value, and I had about 30 to 40 clients at any given time. So why I'm saying that is, I used to look at this as like, damn, bro, I got let go by this job. Like, that's so annoying. Like, so I always used to ask myself, like, when am I going to find that thing that's for me? And it wasn't until I started to actually listen to my soul, right? Like, listen to my gut feeling. What the hell does John want to do with his life? Aside from what these bosses and managers and my coworkers and my friends and my family are telling me to do when I'm asking them for advice, What the hell does John want to do, bro? John wants to start an online fitness coaching company that changes people's lives. And I've been so fortunate to be able to do that. And that's something that I'm super passionate about. And the other thing that I'm super passionate about is entrepreneurship and business and starting these things, because like your life quite literally can change overnight by just doing things that fill you up, that light you up. If you feel comfortable and happy sitting at a cubicle at a 9 to 5 or working at some random job or any job really, if you feel like fulfilled from that, then that's great. And this is no hard feelings towards you. This is not me saying that what you're doing is wrong. That for me just was not it, bro. I hated it. I literally wanted to get out of there every single job. The one exception was when I was working as a personal trainer. I was still under somebody else's rules, and I had some of that, I guess, entrepreneurial level, because I was able to kind of make my own schedule and work with the clients I wanted to and not work with the bad fits, etc. Right? But there's nothing like doing your own thing. There's nothing like actually just committing to yourself and seeing what is possible when you put your mind to things, right? Because as you feel that level of fulfillment, it's not going to just come from more money. It's not going to come from just, the freedom to not have to wake up at a certain time. And granted, like, I'm not, I'm still waking up early. I'm still productive throughout the day. But it's just such a freeing feeling knowing when I wake up in the morning that I get to structure my days how I want to. I get to build, systems, different projects. I get to do content at certain times. I'm doing content and it's damn near 10, 11 p.m. right now, right? If I had to be up at 5 or 6 a.m. for a job, I'm still going to be up early, 6, 7 a.m. But if I knew that I had to be up in the morning, number one, I wouldn't be doing this probably at this time. Number two, it would be gnawing at me in the back of my mind. Like, I'm not really an entrepreneur, so I can't really fully express myself because I don't know what it's like. And this past year and a half, I finally experienced that. And this is not to say that things are easy, but it's well worth it, bro. Because if you have some sort of thing that you want to do with your life, you literally only live one time, right? And there's one client in particular that's in his 40s that's talking to me, about how he wants to do the same, and he's never taken that risk. And it's such a good feeling knowing that, number one, it's never too late, bro. You're never too old. I wish I started my fitness journey with fully committing and not just half in, half out and doing that while balancing a job. I wish I just did this when I was, 18 or even younger, because now I know what it's like to be able to make my own money, make my own schedule, and make the impact I want to make. And so how do you actually know when it's the right time? Well, you're never going to truly know. I'm going to tell you guys a story about how this actually came into fruition. I had been, I guess you could say investing into personal development, but I wasn't actually putting money down on the table, right? I was watching free videos. I was taking courses. A buddy of mine gave me a business course that I took that he paid for. He's like, you can just have it. You don't have to pay me for it. I was doing all that stuff. I was reading the entrepreneurial books. I was reading the mindset stuff. I was reading what it's like to start a business. I met some in-person entrepreneurs. I was fortunate enough to have the ability to work under a business owner and manage one of the locations of, a health-related business, which is awesome. But it still wasn't that level of freedom that I wanted, because I knew that I had obligations to do something for somebody else. And when I finally just realized that I can do this, number one, and I've already made money for my business, but I haven't ever fully gone in. And number two, just like realizing that it's never going to feel comfortable, So when I had that realization, I remember it was 2.5 years I spent working at this personal training job. And long story short, I had a lot of clients. I was making a lot of money. Things were great, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I wasn't able to build the business the way I wanted to, because for those of you guys watching, in-person personal training is not the same thing as online coaching. And you're literally just giving people workouts. And a lot of the coaching sessions are mindset related. Sometimes you talk about nutrition. You do your best, but you only have 45 to 60 minutes per session. You might only see that guy one time a week. But when he's away traveling or on vacation or, in the evening time on the weekends, you don't know where he is, and you can text him, you can reach out, but, you really don't have that level of accountability versus when I'm talking with my guys every single day. That allows me to give them the sort of accountability they want. So I remember every single day, bro, driving and telling myself, this is the, this is the time I'm going to do this, right? Like, I'm finally going to put my 2 weeks notice in. And I would tell myself over and over and over and over that today's finally the day. And that day never came, bro. It never came because I had that fear on the other side of like risk. Like, what happens if, I don't make money, or, what happens if I don't know what I'm doing? But I'm telling you, like, you put yourself in the ocean, like you throw yourself in the fire, you're going to figure it out. And if the desire is there, if that burning passion is, large enough, you're gonna figure it out, and you're gonna force yourself to not ever go back. Because as soon as I felt what it felt like to actually work for myself, be an entrepreneur, be a business owner, be a content creator, all these things, I told myself I'm never going to work another job a day again in my life. And I made that promise to myself. And I'm gonna be super transparent. I had to, unfortunately, break that promise to myself. And I went to this job for about 2 months just to simply kind of get some, essentially skill sets together. I realized that I didn't have all the skill sets that I needed. I invested into mentorship, but I realized that, like, with business, you need certain skill sets to be able to actually succeed and thrive. And I just quite literally was trying what felt like everything at the time, but I didn't have what it took, right? So I went, I dropped my ego. I started learning skill sets of hiring team members, of teaching people the ropes of sales, essentially. And it just felt horrible, bro. It was me doing something that I hated, and every single day I hated going in there. I felt miserable. I was like, bro, like, once I get out of here, I'm never going back. And guess what happened with that? It wasn't like the same thing that happened with every other job I've ever worked. It wasn't like I told myself, like, oh, when I make certain dollars saved up, or when I develop a certain skill set, then I'm gonna leave. It was like, no, like, I don't know when I'm leaving, but like, I can't keep doing this. And it got to the point where I started self-sabotaging. Like, I started showing up late, not caring at all, not really like putting in any effort. And it was because, same thing, like, I didn't have the balls to leave the job. And same thing, I told myself, I'm gonna put my 2 weeks in, and it was just constant thing, because it's like, it's that safety net. But I'm telling you, that safety net is what's holding you back. And so guess what happened? Because of my, I guess you could call it self-sabotage behavior, I purposely, like subconsciously, I didn't want to be there. And because of that, when I was at work, guess what I was doing? I was working on my online business on my phone. I was bringing my iPad in. I was literally on Facebook Ads Manager, running ads, starting new campaigns, putting out different content, editing YouTube videos. I was doing all these things while I was there, purposely. And I was like, I just can't wait for them to fire me, because I can't take this anymore. And I don't have the balls to let go, essentially, of like this position. And yeah, it's one of those things where I realized that, like, when you're in that position working for somebody else, regardless of, like, I didn't really have a boss. I had some guy I had to meet with on Teams meetings, essentially, and I had employees and stuff, and I kind of felt bad, like, damn, I just hired all these people, and now, like, my job is to feed them clients, essentially, right? To sell for them, feed them clients, and also make sure that they know what they're doing with sales, and also with personal training and fitness, right? And coaching, right? And those people, like, they were awesome. A couple of which were really good, people that made good connections. I made good connections with, and to this day we stay in touch. But, it wasn't until, like, I was finally at that point again where I left that position, they let me go. And I was so excited. Like, it wasn't until I finally just decided enough was enough that I got back into it, bro. And it wasn't like I stopped the business. I was still running it. But it wasn't until I was sick and tired of hating what I did every single morning, and knowing that as soon as I get home, I'm exhausted. I've been working, and I've been up for a super long period of time, and now I'm doing work at 8-9 p.m. when I'm getting home from the job, because it was essentially like a 12-hour day. Like, I'm there all day. And it wasn't until enough was enough and I was fed up, where I was like, dude, I'm not doing this. I clearly made progress with my business. What do I think I'm doing trying to, like, gain more skill sets? I'm gaining way more skill sets from starting this business, and I have skill sets. They're maybe not perfect, but this isn't going to directly correlate into what it is I want it to. Yeah, of course, sales can improve, and that's going to help my business, but they were even teaching a level of sales that was like car salesman-esque, essentially, where It's not like how I like to sell. What I like to do, it's more consultative based. It's like, hey man, like, I don't know if I can help you, but I definitely want to ask you some questions first. There, it's like, yeah, you got to buy this thing. It's well, you told me this and you told me that, and it's a lot of manipulation, and that's not how I like to do sales, and that's not how I just wasn't rocking with that, essentially, right? And so, like, I say that story to you guys, I tell you that because you're never gonna feel ready, you're never gonna feel comfortable, and it's never gonna feel like, okay, now is the perfect time, now all the cards are lined up. Bro, it's always gonna feel scary, it's always gonna be a big investment. And you guys, like, I've invested over $10,000 in the past year into personal development and growth, and it's never been comfortable. I've never wanted to invest the money, but I know on the other side of that investment, on the other side of taking that risk of betting on myself, of, essentially throwing my balls on the table and not knowing what's going to happen, and that's an analogy, bro, relax. It's not until that period where you finally just unlock that hidden power, that deep down potential that you have, but you don't know what it kind of looks like. Oh, I feel like I have strengths. I feel like I can do this, but I don't know. You're going to stay in that limbo zone of trying and thinking and watching these YouTube videos. And, like, granted, this video is something that's going to help you. But if you're constantly just, like, watching YouTube videos, listening to, like, business-esque podcasts about, like, when the right time is to start a business and, like, getting all the information, that's not going to help you actually start the business. What's going to help you start the business, and it's good, of course, to learn things along the way, but what's going to help you start the business is quite literally just taking action on your goals and starting and trying things and expecting to fail, but knowing that with every single failure, you're going to get closer and closer and closer and see more success. But I'm telling you, it's so much more worth it than spending your life unhappy, not liking what you're doing, knowing that you have more potential. Of course, like, making more money and having direct impact and control over how much you're earning is a great thing. Don't get it twisted. Like, I can quite literally make way more money, but you're never going to know when the time's right. So just take the risk now. If you guys resonated, drop a like. Follow me on Instagram at JStridefit, and I really hope you just go all in yourself, bro, because it's so worth it. It's so worth it, and the longer you put things off, the harder it's going to be. And I believe in you, bro. If you're watching this video and you're still here, I believe in you to be successful, but you need to believe in yourself, because nobody cares as much as I love caring about other people and helping people. It's so true that, like, nobody's going to care more about your own goals than yourself. So you need to quite literally take that risk. Believe in yourself before you see proof, right? If you're faith-based, you know that we have faith in God without seeing him in person on earth here, but we still have faith. It's the exact same thing with entrepreneurship, with business. You need to believe and have faith